What?
गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट. गना शॉट में आप सबका दोबारा स्वागत है. Yesterday we saw the first part of the Politico military assessment of Pakistan's armed forces. And today we'll head into the second part of the whole story. Pakistan Army and the armed forces are a very interesting lot. And to understand them, it takes a long time. That is why I'm giving it in bits and pieces to you. You saw the military part of it yesterday, and today we're going to see something else. And we'll get to that. Right. We need to understand, just to reiterate, I showed this yesterday also. We are mainly talking of the Pakistan Army. The Air Force and the Navy are its tactical handmaidens. But the Navy and the Air Force are part of the loop and completely part of the system which hates India and also milks the nation. Right. Having said that, this is where I derived everything from. What Stephen Cohen said. There are armies which guard their nation's borders. We spoke of it yesterday. There are armies which are concerned with protecting their own position in society. We'll talk of it today. And there are armies which defend the cause on an idea. We'll talk of it tomorrow. But the Pakistan Army does all three. But if I tell you all three together, it's confusing. So I spoke yesterday of guarding the borders. Yeah, that's what we did. And we need to understand, Pakistan has been in a two-front situation from the day it was born. The frontier with Afghanistan was not settled. The frontier with India was not settled. In fact, they chose not to settle it. Their major problem was with the Pashtuns. So what did they do? They sent the Pashtuns and the tribesmen along the border towards Kashmir. This story started in actually 47, 48. After that, there were some issues. A lot of water flew in the Indus. But majorly, they said, look, we can't keep having problems on the western border. So let's send them this side. So Ayub Khan pushed the Kashmiri tribesmen into J&K in 65. And from then to now, they've been at it. And then in between, there's this time when they formed the Mujahideen and sent the Mujahideen into Afghanistan when USSR was occupying Afghanistan. That was only the time when they didn't concentrate too much on Kashmir. When that Afghanistan war or USSR had broken up and they were withdrawing, the early 90s, they had a problem. What do they do with all these armed militants? So they put them back here. This cycle went through. And finally, as India grew and Pakistan remained stunted, this problem got back to them. Now they have to live with it. And I also said yesterday that as Pakistan weakens, it will weaken. There's no doubt about it. Right? It will find alliances with UAE, Saudi Arabia, USA, China, and Turkey. It will trade its geopolitical location to do all this. So this is par for the course. And this two-front equation is now permanent. And then, of course, I spoke about the character of the armed forces, that the Pakistan Army still remains continental force, but the Air Force, Navy, and the Army are still professional. We have to never discount that. The Navy is a fledgling arm about to take off. The Air Force has shackled the Pakistan Army to a large extent. It will continue to do so. But all put together, they are aggressive. They have very little to lose, hence they'll throw caution to the winds. Initial surprise and aggression will always be a feature of Pakistan armed forces. And I spoke that they're going to be a first half armed force. So that's so. Today we'll talk of something very interesting, which is very peculiar to the Pakistan armed forces, protecting their own position in their society. In simpler terms, it is getting hold of the governance. Now let's look at the governance models of Pakistan. From independence 1947 to the time Ayub Khan became the defense minister in 1954. It was a strange arrangement where Ayub Khan was the chief of army staff and also the defense minister. That was the time when they entered the politics of Pakistan formally. From 47 to 54 was 7 years of a suited civilian government. It was very clear by then that the civilian government couldn't carry on. Right? And soon after that, in 1958, Ayub Khan took over and declared martial law. But the period from 54 to 58, if you see in their history, the takeover by Ayub Khan was facilitated by the politicians. Right? And from 58 to 2008, right? I won't say 58 to 2008. Actually, you look at it from 54 because that is when the civilians started getting booted out. The suited getting booted out. So for 50 years, the civilians were booted out intermittently, barring the period when in between Bhutto was the prime minister. But Bhutto was also the chief martial law administrator. For 54 years, the civilians were booted out. The army was in power. Right? And then, ever since Musharraf was deposed in 2008 till now, it is 16 years where the civilians have been voted out. So first, you had a suited government, then a booted out civilian government. Now, the civilians have been perpetually voted out. And how has this been done? This has been done by having a hybrid government. You had prime ministers being removed, elections taking place, elections being rigged, everything by the army. And if you look at it, the PDM 2.0 is also called the hybrid 2.0. But the hybridity of Pakistan government goes back. If you see this, you will see that, I mean, this is common knowledge. I'm just putting it in a formative way. That the Pakistan army is fully entrenched in governing the country. You cannot think of governance without the Pakistan army there. Okay. Pakistan is a strange state where the center of power is the army and the center of governance is the state or the government. The government governs, but the power resides in the army. And this is something which we have to understand when you do this politico-military assessment. The army has progressively taken over the state to control it. but yet it remains separate. The power remains separate, untouchable. The problems go to the government. It's a very strange thing. And it's the wonder that the Pakistani politicians have agreed to this arrangement. That's the fun. Every war has destroyed the state of Pakistan. It has brought havoc to people. No water. Today, Pakistan is a perpetually food deficient state. It has gone into the state of absolute water scarcity with a burgeoning population. This will not change. And wars have only debilitated their economy. But all that we know. What's so special? The speciality is that it has affected the center of governance. The center of power has not been touched. In fact, the center of power has been reinforced. That's the point. The center of power has never been destroyed. And wars have repeatedly strengthened the armed forces. It's a truism. I'm not saying something new, but it's my conviction. Pakistan can lose. Pakistan armed forces cannot lose. They will always win, despite loss in war. This is something we have to realize. You don't realize it, you're stuck. Then you talk of the Pakistan business empire. We all know that Pakistan has a huge business empire. Industrial plants, residential colonies, schooling, banks, bakeries, transport. Everything is run by various foundations. The Fauji Foundation, the Baria Foundation, everyone. Everyone has a cut. The Navy, Army, and Air Force run their own foundations. You want to know more about it in detail? Please read Ayesha Siddiqa's book. She's written 2 books. The first was long back called Military Incorporated. She's now come out with the second book. I've not had the chance to read the second one. The first one definitely I have. Everyone thinks, look, this is for corruption and lining people's pockets and all that. That is a fact. No doubt. But this Pak army business empire does something far more. It gives political power to the Pakistan army. Let's talk of the MILBUS, Military Business Incorporated. The military businesses of Pakistan are something like the US military industrial complex. Something. Or the same, even the PLA in China was extensively involved in businesses till Xi Jinping came and broke them. Now, of course, the character of these businesses are different. But the business is there. I've told you, I've shown you through that cartoon what all are there. Now, all 3 services are part of this military business empire. What is interesting, the military capital of the armed forces, which is not given by the state, is not part of the defense budget. They are the biggest business in Pakistan. Like I said, they are into everything. Now, what have they done? They have systematically transferred funds from the public to the private sector of the military business system. All contracts, military contracts, are given to their military businesses. No one can come in and take a contract. They are the biggest private landowner. Every Pakistani senior officer is involved in dealing in land. Now, as a result, the Pakistan armed forces are economically strong, independent of the state. It is not individual. The system of the Fauj and the veterans put together are the strongest business empire in Pakistan. It gives them economic strength. And that economic strength gives it political strength. It also gives them political autonomy from the state. And it gives the Pakistan armed forces economic independence. Just think, slowly Pakistan armed forces have been taking over every facet of the industry. Now, they took it to a very high level where in 2019, if you remember, we all know it, I'm not just reiterating these facts. The army chief, Javed Bajwa, he became the member of the National Development Council to reinvigorate businesses and investment into Pakistan. He didn't succeed. But his presence on that board, when the Prime Minister was the head of the National Defense Council, meant something. The Prime Minister was devalued. He used to sit in the chair. Imran Khan used to sit in the chair. And this fellow used to sit somewhere else. But he was the chap who was running the show. So from normal government, normal elections, everything, taking care of the borders, taking care of diplomacy, they caught hold of the economy. They caught hold of the economy internally, externally, anyway, the military businesses handled the economy. Now they've taken it to a different level. In 23, that is last year, Asim Munir set up the SIFC, Special Investment Facilitation Council. Now, what did he do? He went around the Gulf states, he went around UAE, all that. He went to China also. He came back and he said, I will get $20 billion worth of FDI into Pakistan in the next 2 to 3 years. Everyone has promised me, I'll take it. And hence, I need to set up a special investment cell which will monitor all this money coming in and regulate and get FDI into China. And it will never come. But that SIFC has strengthened. So the complete economy of China, he's made a shortcut directly through the SIFC to the businesses and all economic activity of Pakistan. And he controls them. I mean, we have to understand here. Pakistan has a capability of absorbing about maybe $1 billion a year FDI. $20 billion and dollars hogwash. And no one is going to give them because everyone knows whatever money is being given to Pakistan as debt will never be repaid back. You'll get services from it, but not repayment of debt. So that's why I said the governance model in Pakistan is today that Pakistan can do what it wants. It can go into debt, shed, everything. Pakistan, the army won't let Pakistan collapse. People won't like army to get step out. Because countries like China, USA, Turkey, and UAE and Saudis prefer to deal with the army. Now, the political economic strength gives the Pakistan armed forces access to unfettered military budgets. It doesn't matter what the budget is. It doesn't matter what is the overall economy is. Pakistan armed forces will take what it wants and then leave the rest to everyone else. So that is why you have defense budget growing by 15% in a year. Economy, GDP is all, it can go to the dogs. Okay. And this is how it varies, this graph. Not so Pak efforts to revive economy. Yeah, it's never Pak. It's all Pakistan armed forces. And then they control the media, information, narratives. How, I mean, it's the basic question today. How does Pakistan cement its place in society and guard its position and control its position? It's got hold of the governance over the past 70 years. Nothing but the governance is separate. It gets stronger with every loss in war. It has its own money through which it controls the government. And then the media. Sab kuch hai. What is? You have to start. The political and economic control enables control of and discipline of the media. Because you have money, you control. Haven't you seen it here? Big wigs who have economic muscle take over media. Today you don't have hardly any free media in India. Free electronic media, TV. TV channels are owned by some interested party or the other. Same thing has happened there. Only thing in Pakistan, it is complete. Okay. And then they have narrative building. Narrative building is through print, social media, everything. And this is all part of cognitive warfare. And Pakistan is wearing a cognitive warfare against the enemy and against its own people. All people are now convinced that they cannot do without the Pakistan army. I don't think in India this is feasible. Okay. This kind of a cognitive warfare, probably they have learned it from China. How to fine tune it. But then I feel that the Pakistan army themselves are masters at this game. What do they do in terms of cognitive warfare? They shape and control the enemy's cognitive thinking and decision making. Their cognitive warfare is so powerful that all of you respond to anything I do on Pakistan. If I do something on China, I don't get the response. Look at it. Pakistan has to do something funny and we all start reacting in India. It's cognitive warfare. They have been successful in shaping our thinking. Okay. Right. What else? Transform the basic beliefs and understanding of the enemy to conform to their will. We believe that Pakistan is irrational and can use a nuke. It's our belief. It's been conditioned. Will it do so? There's no evidence to that. It's not irrational. But we believe it is irrational. पागल है यार, वो कुछ भी कर सकता है. Do you think so? I don't think so. Then they shape what people think, how they think and how they behave internally. I mean, they fine-tune the whole system. And then they fragment relationships and alliances. We had a good relationship and alliance with Bangladesh, not an alliance, a good relationship. You've seen what's happened in Bangladesh. Today, Bangladesh is virtually every Bangladeshi who comes on this channel talks as if he's my enemy. I'm going to do a thing on, to tell Bangladesh who are your real enemies and who are your real friends. They have to take a choice. I'm going to show them a mirror, but that is later. That's on fix. I'll do it with Shreyarji. But they've done it. And then they do also control. All this is through the cognitive warfare, ISPR, all that. They control the leadership. They control the decision making process. And ensure that everyone willingly conforms to their will. And they've done it beautifully. I mean, you have to hand it to them that they've done it. The thing here is something very important we must. Today, we are living in an age of narratives in information warfare. The attack of the next generation will come as a surprise because we don't know what they're going to do, how it's going to come on us. Will it come in the J&K elections which are to be held or elsewhere? You do not prepare for it. You do not understand what they're doing. This is like suicide. Period. You have to understand what these jokers are up to. You have to control their narratives. You should not react to their narratives. The amount of comments I got on the first, part is not funny. All of them are pointing a finger at me as if I'm an idiot. If I believe it, I will feel like an idiot. And I'm sure after this, there'll be a lot of comments from Pakistan. Look, the man behind the gun is more important. It is the brain in the man behind the gun which is even more important. How his mind space is shaped will determine who he targets, when, where, and how he presses the trigger. If you cannot control the mind, rather, if you control the mind, you control the target and the trigger. This is the belief system of the Pakistan Armed Forces, and they've been doing it successfully. Just instead of saying man behind the gun, substitute leadership for man behind the gun. So they're targeting your leadership day in and day out. And they have a center, and this they've given to the Pakistan Air Force. And they believe that the brain will be the battle space of the 21st century. They understand it better than us. And this is the very interesting part. There is a power triangle in Pakistan. And this power triangle, the shape and size of this triangle changes. And the triangle has army at the apex, elites, that is the political elites, PPP, PML, and PTI at one end, and the judiciary is the third leg of this triangle. The army and the judiciary, plus any one or two parties, will be greater than the others. So, what does the army always do? If you see, they keep the judiciary on its side, and one party they'll propagate. They did it with Imran Khan, PTI plus judiciary plus the army. PPP and PMLN out. Go back to the time 2008, Musharraf, how was it deposed? At that time, the judiciary and the parties, at that time PTI was not there, P1 and P2, they got together and threw the army out. Or rather, the danger last year was the judiciary was part this side, part that side. So half the judiciary plus PTI, P1, was almost it threw out the army. And the other two parties were inconsequential. Somehow, this chief of army staff got around with other judiciary and party and absolutely caught hold of everyone and retrieved this situation back to the first army plus judiciary plus P1 plus P2, PPP plus PML greater than PTI, even if PTI is the most popular party in town. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying PTI is good. PTI is even worse. But that's a different story. We are talking about the Pakistan Armed Forces and how they control everything. So, you look at it, how have they cemented their position in society? Through these methods. They've taken over the government slowly. Everything in the government is with them. The decision making is virtually nowhere. They've waged cognitive warfare against everyone, outside, inside, everyone. Everyone is convinced that the army is the thing. It doesn't matter if Pakistan loses, they win always and they come out stronger. And then they have this military business empire with which gives them political clout. Then this media control, and they play this triangle beautifully. And this is how, if you see, right from 1954, the army has controlled Pakistan, and progressively the control is become more. And day by day, the civilians are losing out, and they'll continue to lose out. This is where, today's part 2 ends. I'll not talk more. I'll take questions. And of course, just to let you know, tomorrow we will talk of Pakistan's belief system. How do they defend a cause or an idea? It's again very interesting. I said I'll give you short episodes so that you can reflect on it. And then we'll see where it goes. If I can't do this episode tomorrow, I'll do it a little later. And I'll do a recap of all this. And then we'll get back. Right? And this is how the whole story is. And what we'll do is we'll take questions now. And I'm open to all questions. A lot of people come. Okay. Yeah. Yesterday you said you need to analyze the Pak army logically. Since they are so religiously motivated and radicalized, even officers, how do they look at us and analyze us? Is it from a hateful point of view? Completely. You have to understand. I've had a very interesting experience with the Pakistan army officer. We were doing a course together. He was a brigadier, I was also a brigadier. And we were in USA, right? And what is their viewpoint? They're very sharp. He came to me on the first day. He said, Shankar Bhai, हमारा मुल्क जो भी बोले ना बोले, इस कोर्स में आप और हम तू में नहीं फंसेंगे. I said, okay, fine. I'm not interested. I was interested in learning what was being taught to me in that course. And then he kept away from me. He knew. Within the first 2-3 days, when we started speaking and all that, everyone in the course started looking at me, the instructors there, and they were very keen to interact with me because the Indian officer was going there to do a course after about 10-15 years. A lot of the professors used to come and talk to me, and this fellow sensed it. And then he was trying to become friendly with me. In fact, I entertained him. And then I realized this fellow wants liquor. Daru chahiye usko, aur kuch nahi chahiye. He couldn't drink with other Pakistani officers because they'll rat on him. And फिर वो रिपोर्ट हो जाएगा और ये आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा. तो ये मेरे पास आके दारू पीता था. और इसका स्टाइल क्या है? इसका स्टाइल था, आएगा, यार शंकर भाई दारू पिलाओ. तो 2 या 3 लार्ज लगा देगा, 2 मिनट में फ्लैट आउट. And then I used to catch him by his legs and put him in, draw across. We used to take opposite the corridor in that hostel. So I used to draw with his legs, na, and put him in his room and carry on with myself. So ये इनका औकात है. But as friendly this chap tried to be, when he was with other officers, because at that I'm talking of a time when India was in the doghouse in US. People used to treat us with suspicion. The Pakistanis were the favorites. And there were a lot of Pakistani army officers, about 10-15 of them doing the course there. We were only 2 of us, self and General Dushyant Singh. He was doing a different course, I was doing a different course. And he'll come next week, we'll get him back. Our relationship goes back to that time. And we used to wonder how these chaps behave. And their behavior was very unfriendly, complete hate. Except this fellow, ये दारूबाज था तो. And when other officers and all were around, he would not even look at me, he would not speak to me. है तो डरपोक at the end. But they hate us. And they know that the Indian Army officers are a cut about them. And I've spoken to other officers who gone on UN missions and dealt with Pakistani soldiers. I've also dealt with, long back, my seniors in my unit who fought the 71 war and interacted with Pakistani army soldiers very intimately. They always said that, the Indian officer, that is their view, the Indian officer and the Pakistani army Jawan, if they combine, no, they are unbeatable. Of course, I don't believe it. But that is their perception. They themselves felt that their army officers were not that good. It means added hate. So you look at all this, they are worried about us, but at the same time, they know that we are disciplined. They know that we will not get involved with politics. They know all that. And they hate us. Right. I feel like external forces have figured out means to hurt Bharat, maybe since 12th century, most often with comparably lesser resources. What are the lessons for us here? Look, I'll be very blunt today. You said external forces have figured out means to hurt Bharat. It's a fact. But why? Because we didn't have internal, ekta. If best word, internal ekta nahi tha. अंदरूनी एकता. अगर हम सब एकजुट होके रहे, कोई का माई का लाल हमारा देश को कुछ नहीं कर सकता, तो बाल बांका नहीं कर सकता. पर क्या हम अंदरूनी तरीके से एक हैं? इवन नाउ वी आर नॉट. द फॉल्ट इज विद इन अस. The day we are internally strong, let me tell you, we will be a superpower. And that internal strength is not by a prime minister saying or some minister saying, oh, we should recreate our own heritage and all that. We all want to recreate our heritage. Tell me one man on earth who doesn't want to live by his own heritage. We should do it out of self-respect and respect for each other. That is missing. Anyway, the initiators in war usually have the upper hand. How can we adopt NFU, no first use, but Pakistan doesn't adopt no first use? Do you think it's okay for us to adhere to NFU? NFU was good, there's no doubt about it, but there's a reason to change it. Why? It is not because of Pakistan or China or USA and all. It is because there is a change in the nuclear dimensions of each country. And that change is being driven by China. And China has gone, though China has a no first use policy, it also has developed capability to launch on demand. Right? And it can launch anytime. Ambiguity, in which case it's actually breached no first use policy to some extent. And hence, you have to respond. The moment you respond to that, you might be able to do it the way China does it. After all, the way we have developed our triad, you have nuclear submarines, the way you have MIRVs and all, automatically that story is there. But maybe I'll talk of it some other day. Yeah. Sir, I'm a Pashtun living in Pakistan and I have been hearing since childhood that Pakistan will break. Will it really break? I don't think so. And this is something I'm going to talk tomorrow. Third part is this. They'll not break. इतना ही आप समझ लीजिए पाकिस्तान टूटेगा नहीं क्योंकि आर्मी नहीं तोड़ने देगा. The people, irrespective of what the army is, how bad the army is, that is why they keep gaining power. तो लोगों के पास और कोई आशा नहीं है except the army. इसीलिए आर्मी के पास ही जाते हैं. Army becomes the power and army controls the nation. They can't break up. The second thing why Pakistan can't break up anymore is because there's no ideology to break up. आप देखिए, whether it's in Balochistan or in KPK, there are two movements in Balochistan. There's one movement of the Baloch militants. There's another movement of the Baloch freedom fighters, I'll call it that. And there's another movement of Baloch, Mahareng Baloch and all that, which is a peaceful thing. Both these have not joined hands. The Baloch freedom fighters want freedom from Pakistan. But the Mahareng Baloch, whatever Jalsa, Ekjut, whatever that thing is called, they don't want, they want to remain with within the constitution. If they change, they join together, it will go. Same thing in KPK. You have PTM, Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, which is non-violent. As Ayub Mirza told the other day, it is Gandhian in nature. And you have TTP. Both don't have a common ground. If they find common ground, and Balochistan and people and the TTP, the Pashtuns find common ground, Pakistan will break. And the Pakistan army will not allow that. That's the point. What should India do to achieve a political victory against Pakistan? A very good question. And this is something we have to understand. Let me put it. You want to do something, political victory against Pakistan, start a movement in J&K. Support the movement in Balochistan. You have to be political about it. Politically, you say, look, J&K is not yours. Get out of J&K. Start that political movement. Politically, not militarily. You're going to have elections. Let people from J&K, Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, vote in those elections. Even if it is by online voting. Nominate people from there as in the assembly. They could be sitting in London. It doesn't matter. Get them. Let them attend. Let them talk. That is political. The moment you do that, you will see this army will start shivering. And then it will have its own speed. But are we ready to do it? I don't think so. To be very honest, I don't think so. The time has not yet come to do that fully because we need to stabilize J&K and a little more. And this, I feel that this year is important for J&K because elections are there. Then what will be the post-election scenario? Let us see, and then we'll take a call. Uh, okay, now let me go to the top and take a few questions. Oh, sorry. It is clear that Pakistan cannot sustain the current setup. What changes do you see occurring in Pakistan society and political structure due to financial constraints? Look, it's not financial constraints alone, first and foremost. There are financial constraints, the population is going up, and water scarcity. These three will only keep Pakistan down diplomatically, economically, everything. But the Pakistan army will hold it together. Their society will keep fracturing. As it is a fractured society. The other day, like I said, Dr. Amjad Ayub Mirza said, it's already disintegrated. It's only the physical disintegration which is not done. Will it happen? Might happen. Who knows? Let's see. Yeah, Pakistan, both East and West was created for Muslims in India. I believe any analysis of Pakistan without talking about the role of Islam is incomplete. Yeah, what do you have to say on that? Tomorrow we'll talk of it. We'll talk of the Pakistan army and Islam. I'm not going to talk of the whole story of Islam. That is waste of time. Okay. Yeah, we've answered this. You had mentioned yesterday that a political counter to the army is the best way to deal with them, as you gave 370 as an example. What could be done? I gave you an example. You just start the movement in J&K. Start supporting PTM. Start supporting political support. Everything will fall in place. What could be done in this modern day? Would it it would be just giving statements supporting Baluch freedom? Would it be something else? Has to be something else. Political support means something else. Right? What it is, I'll answer it some other day. A lot we can do. Yeah, Pakistan will never break or weaken. Mustafa Hassan, I hope it doesn't break for your sake, not for Pakistani's sake, because you have staunch belief it will not break, but it will weaken. आप गरीब होते जाओगे, ये मेरे से लिख के ले लेना आज. पाकिस्तान आर्मी अमीर होता जाएगा, पर आप लोग तरसते रहोगे. आपको ना पानी मिलेगा, ना खाना मिलेगा, ना चैन मिलेगा. एक और चीज मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं. मैं हिंदी में बात कर रहा हूं ताकि पाकिस्तानी लोग इसको समझें. हमें कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, चाहे हमारे बगल में एक पाकिस्तान हो या 4 पाकिस्तान हो, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, क्योंकि हम पाकिस्तान से बहुत दूर निकल गए. आप कभी हमारे नजदीक नहीं आ सकते. आप हमें सूंघ नहीं सकते हो. ठीक है, मदद हम आपको कर सकते हैं, हम नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि आपका आर्मी करने नहीं देगा. हमें पाकिस्तानी लोगों से कोई गैर नहीं है, गैर नहीं. अगर पाकिस्तान ने अपना रवैया ठीक कर लिया, हम मदद करने के लिए तैयार हो जाएं कल के दिन, क्या पता. पर आपका जो आर्मी है ना, वो नहीं छोड़ेगा आपको. जो आर्मी आपको एकजुट होके देश को बांध के रखा है, वही आर्मी आपको नष्ट करेगा. आप मेरे से लिख के लीजिए आज. वी हैव सेपरेटेड सो डज इंडिया. इंडिया में कोई ऐसा बंदा नहीं है जो सेपरेट करके अपना झंडा लहराना चाहता है. वो सब वो जमाना गया. बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स हैं हमारे अंदर, वो हम सॉर्ट आउट करेंगे, या मैं आपको खुलेआम बता रहा हूं। आई एम पश्तून, आई एम हैप्पी इन पाकिस्तान, प्लीज बी हैप्पी, वी आर वेरी हैप्पी विद यू, नो प्रॉब्लम्स, आप खुश रहो। और बहुत पश्तून तो खुश नहीं है जो पश्तून तहफ़्फ़ुज़ मूवमेंट में है, मंजूर पश्तीन के साथ। आपका टीटीपी लोग के लोग खुश नहीं है। आप, मेरे ख्याल में आप जो आप बोल रहे हो, इससे जाहिर होता है कि पश्तून भी तीन हिस्से में है। एक जो है जिन्होंने हथियार थान लिया है अंडर टीटीपी, एक वो है जो पश्तून तहफ़्फ़ुज़ मूवमेंट में शामिल है, और तीसरा आप जैसे जो खुश हैं पाकिस्तान आर्मी के साथ। खुश रहो। है, ये देखो, ये हैरिस खान, इनका बुद्धि देखो, विनाश बुद्धि, क्या बोलते हैं विपरीत काल। कहता हाउ इंडिया लॉस्ट कारगिल वॉर। ओ मेरे मूर्ख भाई, आपके तरीक रहमान जो आपके आर्मर्ड कोर के पाकिस्तान आर्मी के हैं, उनका किताब पढ़िए। आप नसीम जहरा का किताब पढ़िए। ये दो मैं बता रहा हूं, अगर आप ये दो पढ़ लिया तो आपको पता चलेगा कि कारगिल वार में क्या हुआ आपके साथ। ठीक है, यहां तक आपने आपके देश के लिए जिन्होंने लड़ा और अपना जान निछावर कर दिया, कुर्बानी दे दिया, उनका शव भी वापस नहीं लिया, हमें करना पड़ा। आपका शेर करनाल खान जो बहुत अच्छा लड़का था, एक टाइगर की तरह लड़ा हमारे साथ, उसको आपने रिकॉग्नाइज भी नहीं किया। उसके बारे में हमारा एक ब्रिगेडियर साहब ने लिख के आपके एम्बेसडर को, जो यहाँ दिल्ली में बैठता है, उसको लिख के दिया कि भाई ये है। और वो भी कैसे लिख के, करनाल खान का बॉडी के जो यूनिफॉर्म था ना, उसके जेब में डाल के भेजा। और किसी, कोई एक बंदा था जिसने उसको वो बॉडी के जो यूनिफॉर्म पहना था ना, उसके जेब में देखा, पड़ा, और उसके बाद आपने दिया निशाने हैदर। तो हारिस खान जी, जब आप आते हो, बेवकूफ मत बनो। और आपके आर्मी ने जितना आपको बेवकूफ बनाया, आप ऐसे जब वाक्या बोलते हो, हाउ इंडिया लॉस्ट कारगिल सर, तब जाहिर होता है कितना बेवकूफ हो आप लोग। ठीक है, मेरे को तो एक आम आदमी, एक आम पाकिस्तानी के ऊपर तरस आता है, क्योंकि उसको पता है ये पाकिस्तान आर्मी उसको लूट रहा है, फिर भी उसी पाकिस्तान आर्मी के पीछे पड़े हैं। और हैरिस खान जैसे लोग बोलते हैं कि हम हार गए। क्या बताऊं मैं। या एवरीवन, प्लीज प्रेस द लाइक बटन। थैंक्स अ लॉट कुमार फॉर रिमाइंडिंग। मेरा क्वाइट आप सबसे गुजारिश है, प्लीज लाइक, प्रेस द लाइक बटन। If you like, please subscribe to Gana Shot. I'll be grateful to you. Please become members and contribute. Because every contribution of yours goes towards educating girls who can't afford school. Why Pak media and higher courts are silent on establishment? Further judges complain that they are intimidated by establishment in spite of why that SC not. That's how it is. I told you, Kumar, how they control the triangle. Their judges are intimidated, they're controlled, they're brainwashed into accepting whatever Pakistan army does. It's a simple thing. Lakshan, I am from Pakistan. We have huge problems. I paid to be smuggled out of my country. That how bad things are. तो हैरिस खान जी देख लीजिए, ये लक्षण का जो व्याख्या है वो अकेला नहीं है, बहुत लोग। आप पिछले महीने 2 महीने पहले तकरीबन 150 लोग वो ग्रीस के पास समुद्र में एक जहाज में डूब गए थे। ये सब भाग रहे थे पाकिस्तान से, वो डूब गए, मर गए। कोई पाकिस्तान में रहना नहीं चाहता, जो जाना जा सकता है वो चले जाता है। This may be reasonably classified as Alibaba and Charlie's Chore in real time, in which case their geographical space called Pakistan may be classified as their den. I think you're right. You're completely right on this. Okay. I am from Bangladesh. We are not India. We are anti-Indian Modi policy. Hope you should understand that. Please understand, Modi is my prime minister. He is not perfect. He could be anything. नरेंद्र मोदी जी मेरे प्रधानमंत्री हैं, ये भी मैं बता रहा हूं आज खुलेआम। मैंने आज तक उनको वोट नहीं दिया, पर वो मेरे प्रधानमंत्री हैं। कोई माइकल लाल उनके ऊपर हाथ नहीं लगा सकता और ये नहीं बोल सकता है कि हम आप इंडियन गवर्नमेंट, जो हमारा प्रधानमंत्री और हमारा प्रधानमंत्री के बारे में कुछ बोल सकता है, ये भी मैं बता रहा हूं। ठीक है, आपको ये समझ में नहीं आएगा। Yeah, we'll talk about this Bangladesh. We're going to talk about it on 6th, so wait till then. Okay, right. What are the other questions? NFU हो गया. Why are we shy of calling Pakistanis as enemy to avoid offending our Muslim colleagues, friend? I have no choice. I mean, I have no hesitation. They are our enemy. There's no doubt about it. We have two enemies, Pakistan and China. Where's the hesitation, Arunachal? I have no doubt. Some fools will think differently. But look, we are a democracy. You have to expect all this. Yeah, the very interesting thing he said. Working with each other despite differences is what we should strive to achieve, which our democracy allows us to do so. I think it's a very erudite statement. It doesn't matter whether you're white or black. It doesn't matter whether you're Hindu or Christian or Muslim or Sikh. It doesn't matter whether you're North Indian or a South Indian. We have to get to the idea of India, Bharat. You देखा? That, yeah, that is important. BJP tried political victory by alliance with PDP as a last resort, but is political victory feasible? We'll talk of it when we talk of J&K elections. Sir, for an outsider like me, it seems like the terrorist surge in Jammu has been brought under control. So, what have we done? We'll talk of it later. This is not for today. Yeah. Congratulations on 37,000 subscribers. I first came across your channel a year ago you barely had 11. Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot, Sparkly. It's people like you who make this channel. Why do we Indians glorify our invaders in the history lessons? Yeah, this has something to do with, you know, pre-independent India. And in the pre-independent India, the Muslims dominated. Okay. If suppose you had still Akhand Bharat the way it was, Muslims would still be dominating. If the Muslims were dominated, see, uh, look at it this point of view. There are 250 today, 250 Pakistani Muslims. All are Muslims. There are 190 and almost 200 million in Bangladesh. So this is 450 Muslims, million Muslims. Plus, what do you have in your country? 12% of 140. Add them up. There would be a sizable population if there was an undivided India. And that sizable population, even in democracy, will have a will. And if you have a history which has been written by the people who ruled you, that history can't change. And it has not changed. And we need to change it. We need to get back to the actual history. And after all, for 3 centuries or 4 centuries, you were under colonial rule or someone else was ruling you. You're only 70 years down the line. It'll take time. Be patient. You have to understand why. Right? We don't have to glorify our invaders. Then that's out. But the history you need to change. The true history of India has to come out. That's why I did this thing with Cholas about Cholas with Colonel Pillai. You have to understand the South was never invaded by the Muslims. But the Muslims ruled South. Bijapur Kingdom. Next door to me in Chennai, Arcot. Karnataka. Tipu Sultan. वो कहाँ से था? Muslims ruled. The chap who rules will write the history. Then the English people ruled. They write their history. So you have to change it over a period of time to get. For that, it is not that you look, I want, this is my history, take it. No. You have to study, bring out facts, and then apply it across the board to everyone so that everyone understands. You have to study all your old empires. Vijayanagar Empire, Hakka, Bukka, Cheras, Cholas, Pandavas. How many of you know Pandava story? How many of you know the story of Kannagi? Indian history, भाई. आप सब बोलोगे है कौन सर ये कन्नगी? You come to Tamil Nadu, she is a heroine. Outside Tamil Nadu, it is not. But भाई ये हमारा हिस्ट्री है. America has its deep state which wants to keep Trump away from power. Pakistan also has its deep state. It works for America. Does India have its own deep state? Not really. We don't have. Sad to hear that you didn't vote for Modi ji. Maybe know the reason. Does it mean you voted Congress? No, I didn't vote Congress. I'm in Tamil Nadu. I have better alternatives. I'm looking at local issues. Who rules Tamil Nadu better? Being nationalistic or being supporting the government and being in the this thing doesn't mean that you have to vote only for Modi and he is the only one. You look at states which have done well. You have to understand. Yeah. So what kinds of political solution we need to take counter Pakistan? I've told you the political solutions. I've given you a list out. Indeed, Ashok was virtually forgotten in the last 1,000 years, merely treated as a king of Kashmir during. Yeah, I agree with you, Push. It's not like Ashok, it's our religions. We birthed so many religions. You birthed Jainism, Buddhism. They took birth in India. They're not there in India today. People come from outside to बोध गया. आप कभी बोध गया जाके देखो. हम गए हुए, वहां बैठे हैं. हम वहां एक जगह है विष्णुपद बोध गया में, हम वहां भी गए हैं हमारे पूर्वजों को खोजते हुए एक अच्छा हिंदू की तरह. आई डोंट नो इफ यू पीपल नो अबाउट विष्णुपद. माना जाता है कि विष्णु ने आके वहां पैर रखा, इसीलिए विष्णुपद बोलते हैं. हम गए बिकॉज आई एम अ गुड हिंदू. ओके, आई ऑल्सो वेंट टू बोध गया. वही वट के वृक्ष के पीछे नीचे बैठा. हु डिड आई सी? आई सॉ श्रीलंकन्स, Japanese, Thais, people from Cambodia, people from Korea, but I didn't see very many Indians. We have lost that. How many of you have gone to a? How many of you have gone and heard of how a Buddhist Lama does prayer? उसके बगल में बैठ के बात करो. वो आता था लद्दाख में हमारे यहाँ. हमें हमारे डिव हेडक्वार्टर में गोम्पा था. गोम्पा में लामा को बुलाते थे. एवरी वीक वंस हम प्रेयर करते थे. You have to go beyond many small things. You have to understand many more bigger things in India. Well, I'll not get involved with this. JBJP, I'll talk of this when we talk of Indo-US relations. I'm going to have a thing down the line. Don't worry. Okay. Any information about theater command which is lost in news? No, it's going to come out sooner or later. I think we should expect a thing. Okay, I think we've done with it. So tomorrow, I don't know when I'll be able to do it because I'm going to Tirupati. Incidentally, I'm a good Hindu. I'm going to Tirupati. So it depends when I get the time. If I get the time, I'll do the podcast. Otherwise, later. That's for the third thing. So, I mean, let me leave you with the idea. Being a good Hindu and your political beliefs and your duty and your professionalism for the country are three different things. The day we mix all of them, then we are in trouble. Okay? Remember that. Remember that. Your religious belief, your duty to the nation, and your political beliefs need not be the same. Right. And with this, thanks a lot. See you tomorrow. Good night and Jai Hind.